I
can't believe, but you can't ask me that. It's just wrong. Like, let's not talk about it. And it's like that made me want to try whatever it was, you know? Not saying that I was like a bad kid or anything, that like didn't listen to my parents, but I legit would go out of my way to maybe like find out what it was that was being hidden from me, because that's not, I don't know, there should be a balance. There should be, you know, some consideration on both sides. Like, I think you should limit it, but also I don't think it's Lil Nas's fucking job to be
parenting your child.
Yeah, and censoring his fucking vision, because you know what? His video was very entertaining to me. I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I thought all of the looks were so outrageous. And I just thought it was a good time. I mean, I didn't take it too seriously. I know people were like really picking it apart and really saying like, well, Lil Nas just wants to be fucking the devil. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think Lil Nas was just trying to be Lil Nas, and he was just having a good time. And it's touching on subjects that like maybe like the church's hate towards homosexuality, but also there was like that kind of like judgment. I think it was also more of a like judged for like having sex, I think, with the snake at the beginning. I don't know. You guys have to watch it, but pretty much I think that it was more of a broader statement. I don't think necessarily Nas was like, I want to go fuck the devil, and you know, like, I don't think it was necessarily that. Personally, I don't think that, but I'm also not Lil Nas. That might have been his message, and you know what?
Maybe he
has
does
the right to do that because he, you know what, is a grown person, grown adult.
Exactly, Dr. Phil. But to touch on a subject that you were mentioning there, about like asking your parents about things and being kind of told like that's just the way it is. Actually, that's a topic that's like mentioned in this new book that I'm reading. It's called Set Boundaries and Find Peace. It's by this therapist that I follow on Instagram. Her name is Nedra Tawwab. And basically it talks about like establishing boundaries and like the reason why we may not have boundaries and different boundary styles and multiple things along that line. It's basically like a boundary Bible. So if you're someone who has never heard of boundaries before, I definitely recommend that you pick up this book or at least follow her on Instagram because she has some great advice. But she does mention what you were bringing up, and that is that her generation, which I believe is a part of your generation, not mine though, but I don't know actually, but anyways, she says
you're old.
You're older than me by like 3 years. I'm like on the cusp. I'm a zillennial, Dylan. A whole zillennial.
Are you a
millennial? Zillennial.
Wait, I'm out. Oh, okay. So I'm not Gen Z. I thought I was out here being super like,
you're Gen Z?
The Gen Z.
Are we?
Am I?
I don't think you are.
I don't know.
I don't think you are.
Is Gen Z just like born in the 2000s? I still don't know how that works.
Yeah.
I might be a millennial.
I think I'm on the cusp of being Gen Z, or I'm on the cusp of being a millennial. Okay. One of the two. Anyways, but basically as children, we were told like that's just the way it is. Don't ask questions. Like adults have the authority. Like you don't really have a right to speak as a child. And then basically we grow up with these shitty ass boundaries where we think that we just have to please people and things just have to be as they are because they say that they are, and that's just how things are supposed to be. But this book talks about baking boundaries, breaking boundaries and like establishing some, and like being able to kind of come out of that conditioning that you experience as a child and showing that, like, you know, we do have a voice, and if something doesn't feel right to us, you know, then we're not going to do it, and we're going to establish that boundary, or, you know, just how things sit within us, and really just empowering ourselves and standing in place for ourselves and how to do that. So I just wanted to recommend that book. It's something I'm currently reading, and I think I'm like 45 pages in, and oh my god, Dylan, I love it so much. I'm like,
very good.
I'm like writing a fucking Xmas list of everybody that I want to give it to. Just be like, you get some boundaries. You get some boundaries. We all get boundaries.
Yes.
So, maybe
I think that's beautiful. I think that we all, Because that's so true. Like, I think parenting styles, I hope, are evolving to kind of improve that. Because, honestly, telling your child to, not to question authority can be toxic, because you may have the best intention for your child. You may want to protect your child and everything. And if they trust you, they'll be safe. But what you don't realize is that you're also making them that way with everyone else, and making them that way in life, and that can be very harmful if they're around like maybe like a very toxic boss, or in a very toxic relationship, where they're putting too much faith into one person that isn't and they're not questioning that authority, right?
Yeah.
So also they're not questioning, like, they don't have boundaries up, right? So yeah, I think that's really, I will definitely look into also purchasing that book, because it sounds like it is very
and
good.
I mean, it's just empowering. Like, it's really empowering to like find your voice and to have a voice, and like to really stick to that. And I think to understand that like things don't have to be confrontational. You're allowed to speak as you feel, and it should just be that way. And the way that somebody responds to that is not on you. Like, that's the way that their response is due to their lived experience and what they've had. And the most that you can do in that situation is just like step away from it. And, if you feel like that's something you want to contribute your energy to, then do so. But I think that it's amazing, because I think that if you and I, not like obviously together, but if we decide to have children in the future, we'll be able to implement these kinds of things to show children that they do have voices and that their voices matter, and, make them not feel like they can't say anything. Like, I think it's really great too, because like even pediatricians, or at least one pediatrician I know, is incorporating this, where it's like she'll ask for consent from the children if like she can touch them. It's like, oh, like, I'm gonna check your heart rate now. Is it okay if I put my telescope, my fucking, is it a telescope? No, not a fucking telescope. My anyways, I'm gonna check your heartbeat. What is that thing called?
Give me one second. I'm gonna Google it. We're gonna ask Google right now.
Stethoscope. No. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, maybe. Yeah. To check heartbeat. Heartbeat.
Oh no, it's breathing. Is it the heartbeat or breathing? It's the heart.
Okay, thing to check heartbeat. It is a...
It starts with a T.
A stethoscope. Stethoscope.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
So, like, pediatricians will be like, oh, like, I'm going to put this stethoscope. No, stethoscope. Okay. Pediatricians will ask the child if it's okay for them to, like, touch them. And I think that that's great, because it's implementing consent in children and, like, talking about, like, what's okay and, like, what's not okay. And, like, having someone who is an adult and asking for your consent, but who's also, like, a medical professional, I think is really valuable, because it's, like, I don't know about the kind of experiences that you've had in doctor's offices, but, like, I've literally been in doctor's offices, like, where they take off my hat and they say, open your mouth. And it's, like, that is so aggressive, So it's, like, I'm glad that they're implementing these things, because me being fully, like, a 19-year-old felt, like, very... harassed with that. Like, sir, I don't even know your name.
Wow. Interesting. So now we have unpacked some of Zac's trauma.
Yes. And this is why
doctor's offices.
I was 19. I was not a child. This was not that long ago. But I think about it till this day.
I'm talking about.
No, for real though, it was.
Yeah. No. It was. It was last year. No, but yeah, I don't think. Yeah, you definitely should not be touching people without their consent. So I think even a child, like, I think even more importantly, a child should feel comfortable, like, with the person who's, like, checking their heartbeat and
teeth and
sticks in their mouth and the little wood stick.
Yeah. The tongue spatulas or something. Yeah. I
don't know. Yeah. Oh, no.
Anyways.
Wow.
But
anyways,
I think that another thing that is really great too is that parents now, and the only reason why I can speak to this is because I have a lot of cousins who have children now, but parents now are like addressing genitalia by what the name actually is, and they're not just like calling it like these cutesy little names. And I appreciate it so much.
That's so hella weird.
It's so weird.
Avoid it.
Like, so weird, but also it makes it more... It makes it apparent to, like, what's okay to the child and what's, like, not okay to the child. Because, like, I've heard so many phrases for, like, different genitalia, like cookie and, like, bird and, like, things like that. Like, just things that, like, you call them and it's, like, those are normal, not, like, those are just things that you can say out of...
No, the thing that it makes, it's kind of... The reason why I think it's wrong to give it cutesy names, do you know what I mean? Like, is because it almost, like, really taboos the part of your body. Like, a lot of people, you know, are very scared of their own genitals. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just an organ, just like any other part of your body, right? So... I think you should be, like, familiar with your body, do you know what I mean? To an extent, like, you need to know, like, a lot of people feel uncomfortable with the idea of even going to the doctor. Do you know what I mean? So, it should be something that you are taking care of, just like any other part of your body, right? You're being healthy, doing healthy things, right? Just taking care of yourself and being aware of your body, I think is really important, even like for a child too. Like, you need to know, like, don't make it so, like, taboo to where, like, if a child is in pain and it happens to be in their genitals, they couldn't come to their parents because they feel shame mentioning their genitals. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's a little strange, like when people are, like, kind of really scared to say the word.
Yeah.
Like, vagina.
Penis.
Say it. Penis. It's a vagina. Penis.
They are what they are.
Say it.
But also...
They are what they are, and they're just an organ.
Exactly.
Like any other organ.
And I didn't really see it, like, from that perspective, so I'm really glad that you brought that up. Because kind of, like, what I have seen and what I have read about when it came to this was, like... the reason why parents should just say the genitalia for the name that it is that it makes the child aware, so that way predators can't just also use these names to potentially harm children. Because that's what's happened a lot, like within people who have sexually abused children, is that they'll also use these little cutesy names to lure children and make things seem like it's okay when it's actually not okay. So if that makes sense.
What is it called when you grooming.
Grooming, exactly.
They use those kinds of words to groom the child.
Exactly.
Into, that's what my mom calls it too, you know? So yeah. I guess that's also a benefit of, like, using the actual terminology for it. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that's, it's good for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
It almost takes the, like, weird shame out of it. Like, okay, like, you never experienced this, right? But something that I saw growing up, being, like, assigned female at birth, right? Is, like, I remember health class and everything. And I remember that there was quite a few girls, like, young girls, like, in my, like, 5th grade and everything, that were, like, too scared of, like, their hygiene items, you know? So like, certain things, like a tampon, there was some girls that believed, like, if they wore a tampon, they would no longer be a virgin, which...
Oh my gosh.
Virginity...
is a social construct.
Once again, social construct. That's not real, yeah. So, things like that is just, like, something that could have made their life a lot easier, like, if there was... Like, if they would have used a tampon, like, so they could go to swimming, like, at camp and things